In this session, we start working on solving mathematical models. It doesn't mean we stop working on development of mathematical models. We are going to do these two things in parallel. So, as the start point for solving the mathematical models, I want to introduce you the software we are going to use for this goal. It's Excel, very available. Usually we have it on every computer, laptop. So that's one of the main pros of choosing solver or Excel to solve the mathematical models. Here, it is the example model that we start working on. It is the first model that we made in our class. So let's do it. The first step is installing solver on your Excel. Just follow the steps I'm showing you here. File, options. See, since software is an add-in, you need to go to exactly the same part, add-ins, and here you see it manage the things. You have Excel add-ins, com add-ins, actions, and the other things. But the one that we need is Excel add-ins. It means it is something that you already have the software over there, but still it is not invoked. And now we are gonna initiate it or instantiate it, invoke it. So we go here and go, and you see it here. Now, which one do you want to do? We want the solver, the one that we want to use to solve the mathematical models that we have. So I do this solver add-ins and okay. And that's it. After getting solver instantiated on your Excel, check it in this way to make sure everything is right. Go to data menu, and here you see we have solver. If I click on that, you see it is the GUI, graphical user interface, that we use for doing the solution, the solving process. Okay, I close it because we start, before you start doing the modeling, doing the solving with solver, we need to do some structuring stuff. Okay, when you want to solve a mathematical model like the one that you see, the same structure that we discussed when we wanted to do the mathematical modeling works here. What was the first step? Decision variables. The second step, objective function. And the third step was constraint. We followed the same steps here to introduce our mathematical model to solver. And after that, the magical things for solving this model happens. Okay, uh, the first part, we start with the decision variables. What are the decision variables we have here? S, standard bag, if you remember, and deluxe bag. So I want to assign this part to, and it could be any. I can take any cell I want, but just I start from here. And it is the first example we are doing. You are gonna, we will have many, we will do many examples. Okay, S and D. Why I'm using these things? Because we have here two decision variables. So just to make it look better, I'm gonna make it that way so it is more standout in the page. Okay, now the decision variables I have here. So I introduce them here, decision variables, and here I have the values of those decision variables. And let me make them bold. So again, it's about just presentation. Okay, now what happens, my friends, here? Now I'm telling Excel, still it is my plan, that this part is related to decision variables. What is this cell? It is just a header. It is just the title. It says the decision variable S, the value is here. Decision variable D, the value is here. For example, if I put here 15, it means that 15 standard bag. If I put 0, it means 0 standard bag. If I put here, for example, 20, it means 20 deluxe bag. But I want to keep them empty because usually the learners get it confused and they expect to get the value here when we put S. No, S and D that you are seeing here are just titles, are just headers. Okay, now we are good with the decision variables. After decision variables, it's time for the objective function. For the objective function, as you can see here, there is no notation. It says maximizing 10s plus 9d. So here, objective function is only a value. So I put it here and I write here objective function. And we can put it anywhere we like, but I'm gonna consider this part as the objective function that we have. Okay, and so here we have the objective function. The design was not very good, but here what does it mean? It means that the value of our objective function will appear here. Since I don't want to correct it, it is now not symmetric, but it's not important in the technical terms. But if you like, you can do your design much better than me because but the focus here is the technical things. And now we have decision variables and we have the values here, objective function, and the value of objective function would be here. Now we need to define the objective function. When you want to define the objective function, you go for the cell you want to have the value of objective function over there. Always you need to start with equal. When you put equal in an Excel cell, it means that now it is ready to get the formula for the calculation. So the formula for the objective function, as you can see, according to this model here, it is 10 times S. So what is the value of S? It is here. So I click here. It is B3 plus 9 times D, that way. So you see exactly the formula you have for the objective function, you put it over there. Exactly, I put 10, but instead of S, I'm telling Excel the value of S is here. As you can see, B in the row 3. So 10 times B3 plus 9 times C3. So I end it by clicking enter. Now it says your objective function value is 0. That's correct because you have put no value here. Let's see what will happen here. If I put 10, it means that we are making 10 standard bag and 0 deluxe bag. What is the objective function here? It is 100, and that's correct. As you can see, 10 times 10 is 100. If also we make 10 deluxe bag, what would be the answer? 190. That you can see is correct. So when you change these numbers to any number that you like, for example, let me put this, it quickly updated the calculation on the other side. So now you have your decision variables, and also now you have your objective function. But I again delete everything to know that these numbers are just arbitrary ones. The last one is about the constraint. When you want to make the constraints, we are gonna do it in this way. And how many constraints do we have? We have 4. So let's call them in that way. C1, C2, C3, and C4. This Excel solver is one of the popular softwares because on one hand it's almost free and it's very capable of many calculations. And although we have some commercial softwares to solve mathematical models, but Excel solver is a brilliant option for solving models, even big ones. So we are gonna make it stand out like this. And now we have our 4 constraints also over there, and just we need to define them. Let's define them together. Again, since you see formula here, you need to start with equal. And let's start for the first constraint. It is 7/10. Times value of S plus 1 times value of D, as you can see. And now, to make it simpler, my friends, bring 630, that is on the other side of the inequality, to the left side of the inequality. So it would be something like this. We have 7/10 S plus 1 times D, and since you are bringing the number to the other side, the sign of that number must be changed. Since it is plus, you must make it minus, so it is minus 630, and that's it. We got it. And you see the value you are seeing here is minus 630. That's correct because now the value for S and D is 0, and so when you put 0 for S, 0 for D, this side is 0. So when you bring this 630 from the other side to the left, the sign would be minus 630. So for the following ones, you would expect minus 600, minus 708, and minus 135. At this time, please, and the video is end. So try to do the rest yourself when you check it with me.